Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory with Will and Tad. Today, we are continuing our preview of the AFC South, focusing on the Houston Texans, one of the 32 teams in the NFL, which we cover. All 32 teams, all positions, especially long snapper reports, which you'll see at the end of the episode. Um, the Texans are the two-time defending champions of the AFC South. They are coming off a season last year where CJ Stroud was in his sophomore season, had a lot of hype from his rookie season. I'll say he took a bit of a step back, had the proverbial sophomore slump to say, but still a lot of hype around CJ Stroud. Still, I think he can be a top, certainly a top 15 level quarterback, maybe pushing top 10 if things go well, maybe even higher if things go extremely well. What's your take on CJ Stroud and where would you rank him amongst the NFL's quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud is definitely an above average quarterback, certainly one of the more top half quarterbacks in the league. I mean, I'm not going to lie. You kind of feel like he had that super hype, freshman
Yeah.
season. And then he kind of went through a quote unquote sophomore slump. I'd hate to say it, but he kind of did. But that doesn't mean that he's a bad quarterback
No,
nonetheless.
definitely
I
not.
mean, obviously, you led your team to win the division last season. You led your team into the playoffs. You, you competed very, very well in Arrowhead Stadium in that playoff game. So,
Yeah.
um, I, I mean, I will go ahead and say now. I certainly think that C.J. Stroud is once again the guy that can lead the Texans to another AFC South championship.
I would certainly agree with that analysis. I think he's at this point obviously awards the rookie. We know what's happening in Indianapolis there, and Trevor Lawrence a bit more of an established type player, but I think it's fair to say CJ Stroud is quite easily the best quarterback in the division at this point.
Yeah, when we're
Looking at
talking about quarterback rooms, yes, absolutely. It does look like we have a bit of a situation in the running back room. I mean, we got Nick Chubb, Damon Pierce there, but it does look like we have a situation with Joe Mixon. Yeah, he's dealing with a foot and ankle injury and is expected to be further evaluated closer to the start of the season. So whether or not he plays, early on that might play a factor. So we could very much see, and even because of Joe Mixon's health, and Joe Mixon is kind of getting up there now. I mean, 29 years old. I mean, in running back years, that's definitely up there. So we will certainly see some of the other running backs probably get some carries. Um, yeah, Nick Chubb, Damon Pierce, as I mentioned before, Nico
yeah,
Collins. Nico Collins to me is easily a top 10 wide receiver in the league. I'm very high on Nico Collins. He's very dynamic. He is a very reliable wide receiver. You can throw to him, and more times than not, he's going to go and make something happen. Christian Kirk, Jaden Higgins, obviously. And yes, Tad, I would like to specifically ask where you would rank Jaden Higgins amongst wide receiver threes in the league.
I mean, you got to say what he did in a very painful moment in Kinnick Stadium when he actually caught a touchdown, which is not something that happens very much for that team in that stadium, but he did so. And I mean, he's probably one of the best football players that school has ever produced. They'll go unnamed, but he's one of the better players they produced. I think he has a chance to be an immediate playmaker on this offense. CJ Stroud will find him. They'll connect. This is going to be an interesting offense. Higgins is good. He's a high level wide receiver three, and I think as the season goes on, he can continue to grow. Nico Collins, as you mentioned, a top 10 level receiver if things go well for him. And my real question in the receiver room for Houston is how does Tank Dell recover from the injury he suffered last year in the regular season? Because if they can get Tank Dell, the third-year player, back playing at a high level, this could be one of the better receiver rooms in the league if things go well.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins, you mentioned it. What else? I'd also like to ask where you'd rank Jalen Noel, the wide receiver out of Iowa State.
I think to me it's clear that Higgins was the better player. That's why he's higher in the depth chart. That's why he was the earlier pick. But yeah, I mean, to have two receivers like that come out of that one university that'll go unnamed, they high level players. Noel, he's gonna have a battle to stay atop the depth chart. I mean, he's a backup right now. I think it's gonna be hard for him to see snaps ahead of the guys ahead of him. Just the honest take. I mean, I don't mean that as a biased take. I just think that guys like Collins, Higgins, Dell, Christian Kirk, I think they're gonna get the lion's shares of reps at the wide receiver room.
Yeah, yeah. You also got guys like Woody Marks out of USC. I'm very excited to see what he can do. Graham Mertz, the quarterback out of Florida, and yeah, what do you think about Luke Lachey, the tight end out of? Would you like to name the school he went to?
Yeah, Luke Lachey, the tight end out of Iowa, the was the one saving grace from a pick that had from a draft that had a lot of picks from schools that I don't mention, but he's from the University of Iowa. You know what Iowa tight ends do in the league. I mean, he has to work his way up the depth chart, sure. I mean, Dalton Schultz, an established veteran, Cade Stover in his second year, and very high level player out of Iowa State. So right now, the question is, will Luke Lachey even make the roster, and can he then have a chance to continue the tight end U tradition out of UI?
I mean, yeah. So you got CJ Stroud, Tad. He's an incredible leader. You got these skill players, and I think each one of them are going to bring some to the table here. Um,
You, you got
Obviously.
to talk about the elephant in the room, though. There's an elephant in the room
Well,
here, and that
I was
is
getting to that. I
their
was getting.
offensive line.
Yeah, yeah, not looking good when you uh no longer have your two best players. Laramie Tunsil, a top 10 lineman in the league. You no longer have him, and you no longer have Shaq Mason. So, not a lot of optimism when it comes to the offense. I mean, you did went out. You drafted. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Ursary, the offensive tackle out of Minnesota.
Yeah,
So,
Ariante Ursary.
yeah, you said that very well, Tad. But it does look like PFF has the highest rated grade for O lineman being the right guard, that being Titus Howard. So, yeah, a pretty decent pass block grade they have him with 74.9. So, obviously, he's going to have to, take that next man up mentality and, go out there and lead the offensive line, get these guys, shape back up. But I will say this because of the leadership and poise that CJ Stroud carries. If CJ Stroud carries himself very well, that's going to then elevate these offensive linemen to do the same. Because I mean, they'll see CJ Stroud and these skill players going out making big plays, and you would just hope that the offensive line would be like, man, I should really elevate my game and do something about that. So
Yeah,
it's going to be
I'd
a
agree.
really, really challenging, a super challenging year for this offensive line unit.
I think the best thing for them would be if Ariante Ursary, the draft pick you mentioned, the second round pick out of Minnesota, if he becomes sort of not a veteran. Obviously, he's not a veteran, but if he could take on a leadership role early on in his career, he could be one of the best players on the offensive line talent wise. I mean, they struggled last year and they have some interesting ads. They added Cam Robinson also, and obviously Laken Tomlinson is an established veteran, but everybody just needs to elevate their level of play, and hopefully that starts with the rookie Ariante Ursary.
Absolutely. So it's going to be a very interesting offense indeed. Shifting gears to the defensive line, flipping to the other side of the line. I would say that the Texans probably have one of the best edge duos, Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter. This is a very powerful front seven, Tad. I mean, the pass defense, the run defense, it's going to be there. I'm really liking what I see out of the defense just overall.
Mm.
Um,
My one concern with the defense is the interior offensive line.
Yeah.
They want a little more out of Mario Edwards Jr. and Sheldon Rankins, or perhaps even if they could get some players out of their depth like Tommy Togai, Tim Settle, and perhaps some other players, but they need to improve in the interior defensive line. It's crazy to see the difference between the outside and the inside. Like Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter, like you mentioned, arguably the best pair
Yeah.
of exterior linemen in the league. I'd have a hard time not ranking them number one, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, they're going to get a lot of sacks. I mean, there's no question. I mean, the sacks are going to be there for those two. A lot of them, and they're both probably going to split a couple of sacks. So, I mean, look for
Yeah,
both of those guys to make plays on defense. I mean, in the interior linemen, you kind of worry about that, Tad, because
I do.
maybe teams decide to really pound and ground the center gap against that defensive line. So um, it's going to be a really tough job for the Texans. Defensive coordinator Matt Burke. It's going to be a really tough job for him to go out here this season and be able to. You're going to have to make a lot of adjustments. You're going to have to shift that defensive line quite a bit. You're probably going to have, it's just going to be very, very, very challenging. With the secondary and the D backs, though, obviously, when I think of the D backs, look no further than Derek Stingley Jr. And yeah, Tad, I would easily rank Derek Stingley Jr. a top 5 CB in the league. I mean, this is a guy that had to go one on one against Justin Jefferson every day in practice at LSU at one point, sometimes twice a day, sometimes I'm sure even 3 times a day they were doing it. So and Jamar Chase, he was also going one on ones with Jamar Chase as well. So yeah, Derek Stingley Jr. He's a very well seasoned CB. I don't want to say seasoned veteran, but he's definitely a seasoned football player at this point. He's very well conditioned. He's extremely well conditioned for his position, and he's an extremely athletic cornerback. And you just never know what you're going to get out of Derek Stingley Jr., one of the more premier
Yeah,
absolute cornerbacks in the NFL.
for sure. This is one of the stronger secondaries in the league that we've seen. Obviously, Stingley, everything you said, very valid there. Kamari Lassiter was a breakout player as a rookie last year, and I'd expect him to continue his growth, to continue to be a high level cornerback, learning from a guy like Derek Stingley. And then you add Jalen Smith to the fold there, the rookie out of USC. So that is some more depth in the cornerback room. And you also have CJ Gardner Johnson in the
Yes.
safety room, a very high level safety. I mean, these are three very high level players that you see in the secondary. You also have
I'm not going to
um
lie, Tad. I'm a little worried
Saban
about the
Bullock.
linebacker room.
Yeah, the linebacker room, I mean, it's not to the level of the secondary. I'd say it's a fairly average linebacker room. Guys like Henry To'oto'o, Aziz El Shahir, Christian Harris. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement, and that could potentially be a spot in the defense that could be exploited a bit. But I mean, To'oto'o and Shahir are solid players, and we'll see what they do.
Yeah. I also like Jalen Petre. I mean, he's a very solid standout player. And I mean, yeah, you mentioned Kamari Lassiter. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this thing. Again, probably the biggest concern, the offensive lines thus far in this talk. Special teams, Kyami Fairburn. I would definitely say he's a high end kicker, and he's now going into his 10th season out of UCLA, so a very solid veteran kicker there. We hope we don't see a lot of him on the field, but nonetheless, if we do, he's a very serviceable enough kicker. You got the punter Tommy Townsend. He's going into his 6th season out of Florida. Probably won't see a whole lot of Tommy Townsend, but boy, let me tell you something. If we do see Tommy Townsend, it will definitely be. I mean, I would say if I were to rank Tommy Townsend amongst long sets of hair in the league, like long hair in the league.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I would definitely rank his hair above Trevor Lawrence's hair. Um, yeah, just so if we see Tommy Townsend on the field, yeah, I would say he's definitely the best long-haired player in the league, personally. Braxton Berrios, Damon Pierce, they'll be returning. Jalen Noel, it looks like they're going to get him some return games, some return touches as well. Christian Kirk, Woody Marks. But Tad, if the Houston Texans are to win the Super Bowl, go the distance, go the yard, achieve everlasting glory. I mean, we mentioned some incredible people. Don't get me wrong, but the most
Yeah.
incredible, absolute standout player on this Houston Texans team look no further than Austin Brinkman.
Austin Brinkman, the rookie long snapper, undrafted out of West Virginia University, the 4-year starter, the 4-year academic All Big 12 player, the semifinalist for the Patrick Manley Award, which obviously goes to the best long snapper in college football. He is coming to Houston with all of these accolades. He is coming to Houston with a 3-year contract that they've signed to him in the offseason. This is a player that they are trusting to arguably the most important position on the team as a rookie. I mean, you don't see a lot of rookie long snappers. Obviously, that's a position with a lot of longevity. You might see players last 10, 15 years even in this position. So when you have a chance to come in as a rookie, immediately be the guy, Austin Brinkman has a chance to make a real statement early in his career as the top long snapper on the team, and we're gonna see the best of Austin Brinkman.
Hopefully, not too much. Hopefully, for the Texans, they see more touchdowns than him being on the field. But even that, well, actually, no. You hope he's on the
Extra
field
point.
for extra points' sake.
Yep.
For extra points' sake. Yep, yep. I didn't really have any other final thoughts or takes on the Texans. I will predict that they finish first in the AFC South, despite the offensive line and everything. And I only say that because of the condition of the other three teams in the division. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, Tad. The AFC South is probably like almost the weakest division out of all eight. I mean, and that's not like a knock or a disrespect to anybody or any player. It's just, to me, that's just probably my honest take. The AFC South is definitely a lower tier division. So it should be relatively easier for the Texans to win. I mean, they're definitely going to come out on top with it, in my
I
opinion.
I see Houston winning around maybe 9 to 12, maybe 13 at the most, but probably closer to the 9 to 12 range.
I'm not going to lie, you might be a little bit higher on them than me. I was going to go like 8 to 10.
I'd have a hard time seeing them have a losing record, but that is definitely a reasonable take. Yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah. Uh, that's all I had.
Yeah, thank you all for watching the Gridiron Glory. Please continue to follow along, like, subscribe, and continue following our long snapper reports and all of our other quality content as we cover the NFL. Thank you for watching.